Hi there, welcome to the Fierce Factor podcast. I'm your host, Kaylee Lindholm. And I think it's time for us women to shift the conversation in business and step into our feminine leadership to do the most iconic work the aesthetic industry has ever seen. Each week, I'll be bringing a powerful dose of strategy, sarcasm, solutions, and sass that will rev up your creativity and ignite your brilliance as you link arms with me along our shared path of personal and professional growth in 20 minutes or less. Let's go. Hello, Fierce Factor. Welcome to episode 38 of this podcast. I cannot believe we're at 38 already. And speaking of 38 and today's episode, this is the first podcast I'm recording for 2021. And okay, I'd be lying if I said I was super excited about what's to come this year. Our celebration was quite interesting in the household. I think everybody passed out well before midnight, nice and mellow, and I think that this year is going to be a very symbolic reflection of what that kind of celebration was. And, although I'm optimistic about what's possible, I am certainly grateful for the impact our company was able to make in 2020. And P.S., we just wrote a sizable check on behalf of our incredible Leadership Academy clients to Operation Underground Railroad, which is a nonprofit that assists governments around the world in the rescue of human trafficking and sex trafficking victims with a really special focus on children. I learned about this program, this organization back in 2019 when I was going through Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, and I was blown away by the statistics that approximately 700,000 people are trafficked across international borders per year, 80% of them females and children. And our company is committed behind this mission. We are looking to double our donation level this year, in addition to volunteer support and community outreach. And if you aren't familiar with this organization, I urge you to just do a Google search and educate yourself. And for those of you who are listening who contributed either directly or through our work together, thank you. So back to 2021, we are still in lockdown here in California. And I'm not going to lie, I miss meeting my girlfriends for a glass of wine. I'm so tired of eating my own cooking. My hair is a hot mess. Well, you get the picture. And I'm not really a New Year's resolution kind of person, but people who know me will likely agree. I'm certainly always in a perpetual state of renewal. And for me, this annual landmark, this New Year's in particular, has been one that I feel like does command a distinct delineation between life pre-pandemic and the new normal, so to speak. And so I think a lot of us, and as I'm talking with my girlfriends and clients and colleagues, and we're talking about what is the focus going to be for 2021 and what are people thinking about. And so I think it's that we realize that we're heading into new normal and we're ready to adapt and adopt to it. Well, there's been a lot of kicking and screaming through 2020. And I will tell you personally, it has been so therapeutic for me to take some time to journal, to think, to podcast, and to just share intimate conversations on a deeper level than I ever have with my clients. And candidly, building this business, with the intent of, so to speak, sidestepping COVID. And it's been exhilarating and also exhausting at times. And I just think the work that I have done with you all has been as much for me as it has for you. Probably more for me, honestly. And one thing I do know is that it does take time through the work that I do on the coaching side to really establish working trust, to tap into those human layers that make us so great at what we do, but also so vulnerable. And, one silver lining that's stemmed from this kind of global adversity is that I found that the outer shell that most entrepreneurs and most of our client business owners and leaders carry as a shield, that kind of strong, commanding, get it done attitude, have to really lead the team and command the way, that strong outer shield has been, so to speak, cracked before most of the clients have come to us. And so we were really able to go deeper and unpack and do some incredible inner work this year. And I'm telling you, watch out. You are going to see some animals unleash this year, just some absolute badass rock star business owners and leaders. So I'm super excited for them and for all of us. So on the flip side, there has been one universal wound that just doesn't seem to heal. And that is that innate burning desire, be it a pain point or an opportunity point. It's the desire for strong, passionate, and capable team members. And I found this through my years in corporate management, to running a plastic surgery practice, to owning my own business. That need, it just never goes away. I was talking with my team about this. It's not like the list of check boxes. Like, you can't just take a template to build your business and your team is one of the things you check. It's not a box that ever gets checked. So we're joking like, okay, let's make a list. Office building, check. EMR system, check. Website, check. Incredible, amazing, passionate team, check. It doesn't work like that. In fact, from where I'm sitting, I tend to see that the stronger the business, actually the elevated the desire is to maintain and scale that level of excellence. But that is easier said than done, folks. And this year, I worked with an incredible business owner who came to us to help her define her niche, find her voice, and market her business as a category of one. And then guess what? It was time to start hiring people. Now, she believed in herself as a provider. She was confident as a skilled communicator. She's empathetic and a passionate business owner. But what we found through the work we did was that her confidence in herself and her ability to lead a team, to enroll others into her vision, and to run her business like a true entrepreneur, as a true CEO, was not as strong. Think about having a grand vision, epic goals, and a business with incredible momentum that you had really built on your own, but not feeling like you have the skills to hire the right people to execute that vision. It's very common. And I see this show up in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's denial, that a kind of a procrastination, or I got to wait until I hit a certain revenue goal before I can hire people, or it's kind of taking a really long time to find somebody and not investing the human resources into looking and really doing the work on figuring out who the right fit is for the business. There's different ways that this sort of crystallizes, but it is very common. And maybe I'm talking to you. Maybe you've been in this scenario. Maybe you just don't really have the same kind of faith in other people as you do in yourself, which is totally understandable. And so for her, when it came time to building her team, she became faced with this ever so prevalent dilemma of hiring someone with experience, with a network, someone she could virtually plug into her system and operate in a way where her business would just be humming along, or hire someone with less experience, a less expansive Rolodex, and a sign that says, train me on her forehead, right? You get the idea. The beautiful part of the work that we were able to do together was to find the very right people who were passionately aligned with the vision she had for the business, and she was able to build a culture where everyone on her team was in harmony. And here's the thing, guys, that is really the key to a great culture. It doesn't matter what tune the orchestra plays. It matters that everyone is playing on the same note. But for her, that meant, in this case, sacrificing some short-term gains to build the long-term success. And so it's been really fun to look back at some of the work that we've done around this and honestly evaluate with our clients, our community members, our own team, what worked and didn't work in 2020. And the one thing I feel compelled to share with you and to guide and advise and reassure you on, based on the years of practical and tactical wisdom I've gleaned through my own practice, is that an established, experienced individual or candidate employee for your business does not automatically bring success to your company. Just because they come to you with a flashy resume doesn't make them the right fit. In fact, it could bring or do the exact opposite. when I was in college, I had an opportunity to interview for my dream job with Bayer Healthcare. And a dad of one of the girls on one of the team members on the high school soccer team I was assistant coaching was connected with a hiring manager for a sales territory in Los Angeles. And he was able to get me in front of him. Now, the job requirement, a business degree, and 3 to 5 years of sales experience. Now, mind you, at the time, I didn't have either. So I, of course, was underqualified and I was still finishing up my degree. And I'm thinking, why in the world would they hire someone like me? Of course, I went right to my dad for advice on how to possibly land this job when I didn't have the skills or the experience that I needed. And he said to me, Kaylee, having experience doesn't make you qualified. Being the person that will deliver the results makes you qualified. So why are you the best person for the job? And so I really had to think about that. If I was a hiring manager, why would I hire somebody that didn't have as much experience? And I went into that interview across the table from a man who would later become my first real boss and mentor. And I told him, experience doesn't matter. Passion matters. And the willingness to learn and to be a sponge for knowledge, that matters. And I would do it his way. I would learn with no filtered opinions about what should be. And I would figure out what I did and didn't know. And I would implement those systems better than anyone else. Now, he put me through what felt like 10 more interviews before I landed that dream job. And I think he was moved by my passion and my commitment. And now looking back, he knew that I was right for obviously that territory, be it different than the standard, the model territory manager or sales manager that they were bringing in. And now I look back at that girl from the lens of a founder of a business that is built on purpose and hustle. And when I remove myself from the equation, I think, wow, I'd hire that girl. And when I tell the story to my clients, most of them say, hell yeah, I'd hire her too. But when push comes to shove, if there had been someone with 10 years of experience, relationships, and business savvy, that could have been a very difficult decision for someone to make. Ironically, the man who worked the territory before me at Bayer Healthcare, he was a complete flake. He didn't show up, service customers. He actually ended up stealing the company car, if that explains enough about his character. But he did have one of the highest yielding territories around the globe. And based on his resume, I guarantee you he had no problem finding another company to cheat and steal from. And when I got into that territory, thank God, I was willing to put up with what was left. It was rebuilding season. I had to come in. He had ruined relationships. And I felt like for 6 months, I was spending more time apologizing for him than I did earning my own way. And so, flash forward here today to my strong philosophy about this flashy resume. I have received a few of these, many of these, and, there's nothing wrong with really great skilled candidates. I just recently went through a round of hiring earlier this last year for a strategic marketing and growth advisor for KLC, and I got some incredible resumes. I mean, people who had already done the job, people who wanted to expand their portfolio, people who had their own businesses and were interested in employment as partnership. And I purposely advertised a lower pay than the role would earn because I wanted to find someone who was willing to do the work for the leadership, the human growth, and the upside opportunity. I wanted someone who believed so much in their own potential that they would be willing to invest in themselves to earn their lucrative salary. And this is something, you guys, I've never wavered on and I never will. If you're looking at a resume and your main reason for hiring someone is their job title, their last employer, or the business that they will bring you, brace yourself. It may be a bumpy ride. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me say this, that 90% of the time we hire for skill, but we fire for behavior. And so think about that. Okay, so if you are interested in learning more about this philosophy around hiring and culture curation, please save the date for February 1st. I am putting together some incredible content for a 90-minute masterclass where we will be discussing your next hire, strengthening your company culture, and building compensation plans that are a win-win for both the employee and the business. Here's the thing, you guys. You can eliminate the frustration of having to manage poor performance, behavioral issues, and truly the discomfort of the people drama when you create a solid plan from day one. But folks, not by skipping steps. Not by just hiring the flashiest resume, not by hiring somebody because of the portfolio or the Rolodex of business that they can bring you. Okay. I'm not to say that there isn't a fit for that somewhere, but please, build a team intentionally to fit your business and not the other way around. So I'd love for you to join me for this incredible masterclass coming up. You can register early today at www.klcconsultants.com/masterclass. This will be an interactive workshop style masterclass. So it will be limited to 20 attendees. We're not going to do like our big usual 300 person boot camp. It's going to be intimate. It's going to be small. It's going to be high touch. The cost is $0. I just ask for you to answer a few questions and show up and do the work. And again, this isn't another Zoom webinar with a list of 10 tactics. It is a powerful, thought-provoking, elevated conversation around building a deeply satisfying, lucrative, freedom-based business that will give you the autonomy and cash reserves you deserve in 2021. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as I have. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in today and tuning into the kickoff of an incredible 2021 together. And I will talk to you next week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of The Fierce Factor. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you subscribe so you can automatically get new shows every week. I'd also love it if you left us a review. And come join the conversation online. If you're an aesthetic industry owner, operator, or leader, please join my free Facebook group, The Tribe of Fierce Aesthetic Leaders, a community of ambitious, purpose-driven professionals who collaborate and share best practices for growth in business and life. I'm honored you tuned in.